There's a huge contingent of the population in the United States that are living out of fear, especially coming out of the pandemic of COVID. So I hear questions from clients all the time reference, hey, the economy and this and that. People ask me all the time, hey, is it a good time to list my house or sell it or not? And we're going to discuss that today. 5 reasons why it may be a good choice for you to list and sell your home in 2024 in Colorado Springs. I connect with people just like you every day to help them discover where to live and invest in real estate and sell property for top dollar when the time is just right for them. My name is Leif Jacobson. I'm an ex-cop turned realtor, also known as Safe Leif. If you're new to this channel, please subscribe so you're first to learn about all things Colorado real estate. My contact information is below. I'm excited to hear from you. Please reach out by text, call, or email after the video or book a calendar event and I'll reach out to you. The first reason that it may be a good choice to sell your property in Colorado Springs in 2024 is because generally, Colorado Springs has a very strong economy in general. So we're one of the fastest growing cities in the United States, and Colorado Springs actually fared better than Denver and better than any other city in Colorado throughout the state, reference recovering from the pandemic and recovering all job losses that happened from the pandemic or from COVID. Colorado Springs is an incredibly desirable area to live. People are flocking from all over the United States, especially from California, Texas. I'm seeing lots of people coming from kind of the Midwest side as well as the Southwest side. It's because it's a strong economy and there's tremendous growth. It was a big deal the last few years for Colorado Springs to land as the headquarters for the United States Space Force. They have hubs all over the United States, but Colorado Springs is the headquarters for that, which brought over 15,000 families to the Colorado Springs area. There are numerous defense contractors and semiconductor industry companies that actually expanded within 2022 and 2023 to create 3,000 more jobs in Colorado Springs. And defense contractors are a massive contingent in Colorado Springs with 5 military bases here. We have a huge conglomerate of military folk and people that serve military folk and all sorts of industries that cater to that. Wages are good in Colorado Springs as far as hourly wage and annual salary, which then creates a spiral effect in a good way because then people get more jobs and new hires are getting employed all the time, which then increases the economy and more people are eating and doing entertainment and spiraling upward. That's what creates that perpetual growth. In 2023 alone, Colorado Springs closed out 9 economic development projects that created over 2,200 jobs and brought over $1.3 billion in revenue as far as growth in Colorado Springs. That's just last year in 2023. The second reason that may be a good time to sell your property in Colorado Springs in 2024 is economic certainty. Well, certainty is maybe a strong word. So economic stability amid uncertainty. So again, people are living out of fear in general. And in a city like this, where we're seeing the economic growth and support and infrastructure that we're seeing, you could benefit immensely by selling your property to someone who is doing an influx, as case in point, to Colorado Springs. Part of the uncertainty comes from, and over the last couple of years has come from, interest rates skyrocketing compared to where they were. And it's important to understand that interest rates are all about a basis of comparison. So a 50-year average interest rate in the United States for mortgage rates is 8.3%. But when it's been at 2.5% or 3.5% for years, people think, 6, 7, 8% is crazy. Actually, right now, interest rates have come down about 1.5%. This is early 2024 when this video is recorded, just coming into February of 2024. Interest rates over the last 8 weeks have come down about 1.75 percentage points. So down in the low 6s range, depending on how you qualify and what you qualify for in a mortgage, which is actually a really great rate in the long scheme of things. People that were around back in the 80s, late 80s and early 90s buying houses at 17 and 18%, that's like buying a house on a credit card. So actually, 6% is a great mortgage rate. I get it. It's not compared to almost all of us who owned homes during that time have interest rates of 2.5% or 3%. Some people have 1.75%, 1.9% interest rates. That's probably not going to happen again in our lifetime, is what I'm hearing from economists. I don't claim to have a crystal ball. I can't predict that. But the chance of interest rates going down to that rate are extremely low and probably won't happen again. And what I hear from people all the time is, hey, when interest rates come down, I'll buy. But what they're not understanding is the moment interest rates come down significantly, prices just went way up. So you can get a house for way less money now than you could get it before, not because values have gone down, but because people aren't overpaying for property anymore. So people were paying, $70, $80, $90, $150,000 more than a property's worth or would appraise for a time there when there's that hockey stick curve of growth in 2020 and 2021. People aren't overpaying for property anymore. So that's totally different than values going down. If you look month over month, okay, maybe you could say value has gone down, but I don't see real estate that way. It's a long game and a long-term investment for me and a long play. Year over year, decade over decade, real estate values haven't gone down in any decade in the history of the United States. They've never gone down. 2008 was the worst downturn we've ever seen. Even then, the Great Depression, down back in the 40s, real estate values actually increased. A lot of people don't know that. 2008 was the only downturn over the last 80 years where real estate values went down for a short time. But even then, the worst thing we've ever seen in 2008 as far as the real estate market, 5.5 years later, real estate values were higher than they ever were. So keep things in perspective. Look at historical data as far as real estate, and don't go off the current stuff you're hearing every day on the news and living out of fear in that. Go by the long-term real estate market, which has been like this forever, as far as there's little fluxes and ups and downs in there, but the long game of real estate, year over year, long play, decade over decade, is an increase. It's one of the best investments you can possibly make. You can capitalize in 2024 with the growth rate and economical growth and real estate values going up in Colorado Springs even in the last couple years since the pandemic. And we've had 4% appreciation year over year over the last couple years. Despite people assuming that real estate values have gone down, real estate values never gone down $1. But again, there's that correction of people not overpaying for property anymore. So you can capitalize on selling property with great appreciation in Colorado Springs with the influx and the growth that we're seeing in Colorado Springs with people moving here. Number 3 is that selling before a presidential election could be a wise move for you, depending on the moving parts in your life as well. People, again, this is so fear-based, and people are hesitant to make a change before an election, and they're unsure about the economy, which usually turns out just fine in the scheme of things. And so you could capitalize on that by selling your home before the election. And also, because no president wants high interest rates on his books, generally interest rates come down, encouraging buyers and encouraging values in the market. The moment interest rates come down, values go up as far as property value. So it's a great time for that reason in 2024 to sell, because we're going to see a huge influx of buyers, as well as 70 million millennials were priming up and ready to buy just before the pandemic or COVID hit. And many, many baby boomers, about 68 million baby boomers, as an opposite conglomerate to that, are downsizing and passing away and going into assisted living facilities and making other plans or living with other family who are taking care of them. So what I'm seeing as far as economists that I read about is that we're actually going to see one of the largest buying fluxes in the history of the United States, 2024 and 2025, as millennials are buying, who've been saving and holding off for a while, again because of COVID. Now they're ready to buy, and baby boomers are selling houses, which is going to stimulate the market massively. A recent study actually analyzed the last 13 election years and found pretty consistently there's about a 15% drop in home volume sales between October and November during an election year. Now that also could be, to be fair, that could be the season coming into the winter time as well, which is traditionally having nothing to do with an election. The real estate sales slow down coming into that time frame of the year, because if you go under contract in October, November, it means you're moving your house during the winter time for one thing, and during Thanksgiving and Christmas. A lot of people don't want to be moving during those times, so that could be a factor as well. But there's no question that people are afraid of the uncertainty of a new president and not knowing who's going to get in, and they're wondering about what's going to happen in the economy, so they're hesitant. So you could be at an advantage if you sell before we come into that season. The fourth reason that it could be wise to sell in Colorado Springs is because there's straight up not enough housing in Colorado Springs for the amount of growth we're seeing and the economic stimulus that I've been talking about and the amount of people that we're seeing moving here. So supply and demand says, hey, when there's lots of demand and very little supply, values go up. So you're in a great place to sell in Colorado Springs because people have to live somewhere, whether they're renting or whether they're buying. There's actually over 3,000 apartment units being built in Colorado Springs right at this moment. Not just planned for, that's under construction. 3,000 apartment units. So that attests to the demand. people who have hundreds of millions of dollars or more or billions to build massive apartment complexes and apartment buildings. They're not stupid. They have hundreds of millions of dollars and they know where to build because they're not going to spend that kind of money if it's going to flop and they're not going to have tenants. So they know the growth is here and that's why they're building the apartment buildings. So you know that there's kind of validates to me. That's kind of like people that watch the trajectory of Walmart or other Target, other big chain stores. There's lots of little stores like, AutoZone and Panda Express and a lot of places. They don't do their own analysis at all. They just watch the big box stores and the big growth and they just follow like where's the next Walmart going and they put in a bunch of restaurants and stores around it. So they don't have to do that at all because Walmart is spending probably hundreds of millions of dollars analyzing where their stores are going to go because they have lots of money and lots of resources to do that. So we're kind of doing the same thing as what I'm suggesting in the real estate market. Look where the apartment buildings are being built with the people that with huge money and sell your property and buy property for investment that's in that area because that's where the growth is. In 2024, with interest rates going down, we're also seeing a perspective change that people are basically like, well, okay, I'm gonna buy or sell my house. And so that increases the number of buyers coming forward to then you get top dollar for your house as far as selling it. Almost every homeowner, including me that I'm aware of, refinanced or purchased property when the interest rates were super low as well. So this makes a lot of people less willing to sell, a lot of sellers that are less willing to sell in this market, i.e. which supply and demand is the simple concept. The older I get, the more simple I want my life. So I appreciate the simple supply and demand concept that says, hey, when there's limited supply, values go up. Therefore, you're profiting well by selling your house. I can already hear a few people replying to this video or giving me some thoughts in response to it saying, hey, it's great that I can make great money selling my house. If I'm not leaving Colorado Springs, that just means I have to buy something else. And you're right. I totally get that. It is all relative because sure, you're selling for your house for good money. You're also paying good money for your replacement home. If you're selling for less, you're also buying for less. So both of those, keep in mind that both of those tend to weigh each other out there and kind of 6 of one, half a dozen the other. The fifth reason that it's a great time to sell in Colorado Springs coming into 2024 is because seasonally, the market always pops coming into a new year, especially the election that we've talked about, especially the economics and interest rates that we've talked about. But seasonally, coming into spring and summer, it's a fabulous time to sell property because seasonally, that's when the market pops. The weather's warmer, people are out and about and ready to move. Also, coming into the spring and then summertime, a lot of people are more inclined to move during those times because their kids are in between school. If you're moving another place in town or another place in the United States, which I can help you with both, people are more inclined to do that in between school seasons, obviously, so their children have a much more successful and seamless transition between schools versus doing that mid-year and pulling them right during kind of a mid-school year. So those are the 5 reasons that it may be a good choice for you to sell your property in Colorado Springs in 2024. With a growing economy and growing population, that means property values go up. There's no rocket science to that as far as people desire to move to an area and values go up in real estate value. Let me know if I can be a resource for you in any way. If I missed 5 other points that you'd like to hear about, I'd love to hear from you as well. Please engage with me after this video and make some comments. And if you have another video idea or something you'd like to hear about, these videos aren't for me. They're for you to provide value to you and provide data so you can make the best decision in your life as you consider real estate buying and selling. I'm glad to be a resource for you. I'm excited to hear from you, and I'll see you in the next video.